More big news on the recruiting front for the LSU Tigers as LSU pulls off the flip. As they flip defensive back, four-star that is, Kade Phillips, who was a Texas commit, and now he's getting ready to don the purple and gold as Phillips, the Texas native, decided that he wanted to call Baton Rouge home. Hello, everyone. My name is Bryce Koon. Welcome into the Instant Reaction Go 24/7 Commitment Podcast as we get to talk about who is Kade Phillips, look at the tape, and potentially what is next. So let's dive in, hit that subscribe button, set up notifications, and here we go. Well, first off, we start with who is Kade Phillips. Now, we're just going to start with a Missouri City, Texas native, 6 foot, 175 pounds, going to play the cornerback position, has experience playing kind of a nickel position, a slot corner as well. He's ranked as the 232nd best prospect in the country per 24/7 Sports, 28th best corner, and the 31st best player of Texas. But it does get better when you go to the composite ranking, which, for those not familiar, takes into account multiple recruiting services. He's ranked in the top 200 at 187 as the best player in the country, 21st corner in the country, and still sitting in that top 30 in the state of Texas at number 27. We mentioned he's around the 6.5 foot mark, 6'1", but LSU able to pull off a nice flip. Shout out to Corey Raymond. Shout out to Frank Wilson. Shout out to this LSU staff for pulling off what is a big flip. Continue to shore up the back end of this defense and build depth and stack talent in a very, very nice 2025 class. 24/7 Sports national recruiting analyst Hudson Standish gave a nice scouting report when he saw the tape and got a chance to see Kade Phillips, the Hightower High School product. Back in June, Hudson had this to say about what Phillips brings to the table. He's a high upside defensive back who offers positional flexibility and owns one of the best track and field profiles in the 2025 recruiting cycle. He finished third at the Texas 6A state meet in the long jump with a 24 7.5 foot personal best. He also owns a wind legal 21.5 200-meter dash personal record. Size has not been third-party verified in over a year, but is believed to hover around 6'1", like we said, 175 pounds with a +4 wingspan. He owns the frame space to add about 15 to 20 more pounds with relative ease to the next level. At this stage, projects as an off-man boundary corner, but Phillips has played plenty of safety at the high school level and has the versatility to move around the defensive backfield. He has flashed the ability to mirror receivers as a man-to-man defender in combine settings, but isn't consistently sticky. Can quickly turn and allocate the football in the deeper third as a zone defender. Sounds open field tackler who could develop into a special teams ace at the Power 4 level. Likely the best prospect out of Houston area program, Fort Bend Hightower, since former Oregon standout Braylon Addison led the Hurricanes to the 2011 Texas 5A D1 state championship game. He still has some technical aspects of his game. Hudson says that he needs to clean up entering his senior season, as does anyone, but he does have enormous NFL draft upside. He reminds the 24/7 staff of Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive back Zion McCollum. That's kind of a look at him. And also we talked about track and field athlete. This guy's got really, really good speed. He brings a lot to the table. And you heard, if you're listening or watching, you heard me kind of read off what Hudson said there. And we're going to take a look here at the tape. I mean, positional versatility. Positionless defense, having guys that can be cross-trained on both sides of the field, whether they're playing field side or boundary side, whether they're playing in the safety spot, where they're playing a nickel corner, any of these type of positions, you want to stack as many of those guys as you can. And LSU certainly did that with the addition of commitment Kade Phillips. Now, let's take you back to when Phillips visited. This is a guy that I had the chance to talk to multiple times, really enjoyed his opportunity to be around LSU, to talk with LSU's staff. Obviously, though, a lot of people understand that Texas and the Burnt Orange is going to be hard to beat out, especially for a kid inside that state. But credit to LSU's staff for doing the work and not stopping. I mean, I think this is a perfect example of why when you see a commitment graphic go up, you don't just stop recruiting. You don't just say, okay, that's where we're waving the white flag. No, this staff continued to build the relationship, continued to stay in touch, and it's a big reason why Phillips decided to flip his commitment from the Longhorns to the Tigers. It's a big one. He's fast. He's versatile. He's got quick hips. He's fluid in his coverage. And like Hudson said, could be a little more sticky in man coverage. You'll see that. But I think at this point, he's a great athlete that needs to be molded. And look, if you're LSU, you want as many athletes as you can get, and especially not just to have them in your building, but to keep them away from now your SEC rivals teams too. Let's take a look here at the tape as we look at Kade Phillips' tape over in his huddle highlight. This is his 2023 junior season highlights. Now, look, you're going to get, I would say you're going to get some looks here at just the way that he makes plays, the way that he finds himself all over the field. And I think, this right here, tracking the ball, getting a big pick, and just being a guy that can lurk, being a guy that understands his limitations, the quarterback's limitations, and able to just play with great instincts. You just keep watching him kind of on the island by himself over here in this clip, and just the ability to understand what he needs to do, be in the right spot at the right time, and not just do that, but be able to do it consistently and a pretty good level there too. So you have to like what Phillips brings, just his ability to stay with the play, his ability to just, I think, do a lot of different things that Blake Baker, this coaching staff, this entire staff in general, how they want LSU football to be played. I think Kade Phillips fits that moniker. So I think a lot of people are excited to see how he winds up, the way he develops in an LSU uniform. And obviously, you got to get him to sign the dotted line. But this is a big pickup. You beat out, Texas. You're able to coerce him to say, hey, we want to get this commitment flipped. Did a fantastic job of that. And so now you have the card set to where you're really starting to fill out a cornerback room that, look, you already got DJ Pickett on one side. Now you've added Kade Phillips, and you had to feel pretty good about where things go. So that's a quick look at the tape, and you can check that out over at Phillips Huddle or on his 24/7 Sports profile. But it does bring out the question, what is next? Now let's keep talking a little bit about this cornerback room, because, and then just I'll say too, the secondary in general really starting to come into play here. I think Aiden Anding is still a guy that you can add in this class. I don't think the door's shut on him just because you got Phillips to commit. But you're sitting at 23 commits. You got Mike Tyler on Saturday, the South Carolina tight end. But this feels one of the biggest glaring needs. I mean, you kind of looked at that class and the way that it was filling out, and you kind of said to yourself, okay, linebacker, safety hybrid, you feel good about it. Safeties, you feel good about. Defensive line, we've got some guys, but we maybe need to add one more. I'll get to that in just a second. But it still brings up the conversation, I should say, of you went out, you had a need, probably one of your more desperate ones, and you go out and fill it with a high end talent. But cornerback is something where now you sit there with DJ Pickett. You look at who's out of eligibility this season, it's Alexander, but and this is kind of obviously we're still dealing with a little bit of the COVID year stuff, but almost everyone can return to this room next year. So it's important that Raymond, though, gets in the guys that he wants and he recruits. You obviously have, guys that are in the area. A couple of the Bradford brothers are going to be interesting to watch their recruitments play out. But all in all, I'm really excited about the pickup of Phillips. I think this is a guy who's the diversity in which he plays, I think, is the best way to put it. He's positionally, you can put him in different spots, and you don't have to worry about a massive drop off in terms of if I move him here, what's going to happen there. So this is a big pickup. I think this is a nice pickup, and it does beg the question of what is next. Now you've started to kind of build the cornerback room, and you look defensive line, like still going to keep even with the addition of Dylan Battle. Remember, the scholarships go up to 105. I don't know how many teams are going to be knocking on the door of straight up 105 scholarship players. But what I do believe is that it's going to still be an opportunity for Walter Mathis to be a guy that commits to LSU. I'm still watching that commitment, very, very, very closely. And then, like I mentioned, Aiden Anding too, still going to be there. I've got a crystal ball in there. I believe that Sonny Ship, our recruiting guru, over 24/7, feels very strongly about his, his commitment. But the question has to be asked: with Phillips flipping, does Anding get pushed back towards Texas? So this will be This will be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see. And then obviously Jabari Antoine, I would say not things haven't taken really a turn in the right direction for LSU. Miami's still in the lead here, obviously with the commitment. Nothing's done till signing day, but I think that getting DJ Pickett was massive. Getting Phillips on board was massive. You got two guys that you really could feel like you can build off of, and you're still going to recruit Antoine like they recruited Phillips, and you're going to see what he does. I mean, you're still going to see him as a guy that you can bring on campus during the fall and get him around some of the commits, and you just see what happens. But yeah, no, it's going to be something very interesting to kind of see how this transfer or this recruiting cycle goes in the transfer portals. Like I said, you have a lot of guys returning. You got talented guys coming in. You got talented freshmen. Where does all this shake out? I don't think they can go into 2025 at the current roster number they are, in just terms of guys that feel like they can play and are actually going to get a chance to contribute on the field in 2025. But the big news, obviously, Kade Phillips flips from Texas to LSU. A big, big move, a big, big time recruiting get for Corey Raymond and this staff. And it's going to be really interesting to see how this thing rolls into the 2024 season. My name is Bryce Koon. Make sure you hit subscribe there for all the latest recruiting, football, news updates on your LSU Tigers here at Go 24/7, the LSU arm of all things 24/7 sports. If you're listening in podcast form, we appreciate you, and we'd like you to come on over to the YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button, set up notifications, and get ready for some great content we got coming throughout the season, including Behind Enemy Lines, where each week we're going to take a look and talk with an expert that covers the opposing team for LSU. We're going to have full in-depth previews. We're going to have live post-game shows. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we want you to be a part of it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and thanks so much for watching and listening to the Go 24/7 podcast.